couple of questions. Here's what Jimmy Page had to say about Phil Collins' performance with Led Zeppelin at Live Aid.
It was absolutely appalling because everyone was doing different things at that point in time. But the fact was that the drummers didn't know the material, so we were in real trouble. And we're still trying to get the drummer to do the opening for rock and roll. And it was said that Phil Collins knew the set. And so we went on in the end to this huge, massive audience. And neither drummer knew any of the numbers at all.
So according to Page, the real problem wasn't him, it was Phil Collins. Page claims that Phil Collins simply couldn't learn the Led Zeppelin material and that the band never locked in because Phil didn't truly know the music. And more specifically, he says that Phil Collins couldn't learn the intro to the song Rock and Roll. He has been consistent over the years saying this, that the material wasn't learned deeply enough, there wasn't enough rehearsals, and from Page's point of view, this was a technical criticism. He doesn't blame the bad performance on band chemistry, but he's saying that Phil Collins basically didn't know the material and couldn't play the intro to Rock and Roll. Now, here's what I want to ask you about, which is this. I'm a drummer myself, but I'm not a fully professional drummer or anything like that, just a hobbyist, and I don't find the beginning to Rock and Roll to be that difficult to play. And it strikes me as very odd to think that Phil Collins, who is on record saying that he's a John Bonham fan, would not know the intro to that song. Phil Collins is one of the greatest drummers of his generation. He excels at precision and structure and tight arrangements, and he's really also well known as a great improviser. What I'd like to know is how he could have got to this gig, known he was going to play it, known the set list, and then not been able to play something basic as the intro to the song Rock and Roll. So Jimmy Page is saying that Phil Collins didn't know the material, but what's more likely, in my opinion, is that he didn't understand how to play along with Led Zeppelin. So Jimmy Page didn't need someone who knew the songs, he needed somebody who knew the way that Led Zeppelin improvised. This is where Page's critique becomes a little bit more clear to me, because if Phil Collins couldn't learn the material, quote unquote, then the rest of the band wouldn't have been able to execute as well. There's one other wild card here, which is that Tony Thompson was also on the stage. There were 2 elite drummers at the performance, and yet we have a mediocre result. This suggests that the issue isn't basically who was playing, it was more of what was Led Zeppelin themselves bringing to the stage. So Jimmy Page was visibly inebriated and kind of rusty. His tone was thin, he played with a lack of confidence, and Robert Plant's voice just wasn't there. So even if the drumming had been up to snuff, I don't think the performance would have been that good. So my take on this is that Phil Collins approached the Live Aid gig with a little bit too much of a lackadaisical attitude. This was a big gig and a pretty difficult one, but I don't think he saw it that way until he got there. Jimmy Page figured the magic would take care of itself. So they weren't just disagreeing about facts, they were judging the performance by completely different standards, and that's why the argument keeps on going. So was Jimmy Page right? Well, yes, in spirit, because Phil Collins has admitted to air drumming through most of the set. But he wasn't entirely right, because no one on that stage recreated Led Zeppelin, not even Jimmy Page himself. So Live Aid didn't just expose Phil Collins, it exposed how fragile band chemistry can sometimes be, especially for a band as important as Led Zeppelin. So I'm curious to know where you stand on this. Do you think Jimmy Page is justified in his comments about Phil Collins, or is Phil Collins just an easy scapegoat for a reunion that was doomed from the start? Let me know in the comment section below.
Music Guru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.